Burnout doesn't start when you realise that your life's falling apart. It happens quietly in the weeks and the months beforehand. For me, the warning signs are clear now. Enough time has passed for me to be able to see and understand what was going on and what led up to the Lake District videos. And in this video, I want to go into detail with you, honestly, about what was happening. Now, you've probably noticed it's quite dark in this video. It's winter in the UK at the moment, so daylight hours are really limited, and I actually go out for walks quite often in the evenings or early mornings. And today, I think we're about 15 minutes or so away from sunrise. So it is getting lighter. And this is the time when I do a lot of my thinking. It's a time when I do a lot of reflection. So I thought, why not? Let's film a video on one of my walks. So here we are. So a lot of the reflection that I'm doing in this video is going back to before I made my trip to the Lake District, which is roughly a couple of months ago now, when at the time I was just getting through the days. I wasn't in a reflexive place. I wasn't looking back, thinking ahead. I was just battling on at the time. And I knew enough that I needed to get away and have a break and switch off, slow down, and just focus on my mind and body needs for a period of time. That felt right, and that's what I went and did. But now I feel like I'm able to fully understand what led up to that time. So here we are. It's worth bearing in mind as well that I'd had almost a year off of work up to the start of this year, 2025, and I had a gradual return to work over a period of months. And I started to take on more responsibilities. Life got a little bit busier, but I tried to manage myself so that I wasn't feeling overwhelmed, too stressed, and I kept life manageable. And I found I wasn't the same person I was before depression, anxiety just absolutely ravaged my life. You know, it's changed my outlook and my attitude, and it's affected every part of my life. My ability to get up in the morning and get out of bed and not feel like I don't want to be here anymore and have dark thoughts. And I never had that outlook before. It was always positive, happy go lucky, looking out for other people. And that kind of inner change that had happened for me was really present this year in returning back to society and normal life, if you like. So I was trying to manage that internally, and a lot of people don't see that outwardly because you're putting on a face, you're wearing that identity of this is how everybody knows you. Because I was kind of returning to life as it was before. And so the pace of life for me just began to pick up gradually over time. And that meant that my days were becoming longer because I was traveling a lot more as part of my work. And that was taking its toll on my physical energy. I was finding I was coming home exhausted, and that meant I was unsociable and, just absolutely worn out in a way that I didn't really have that happening before. And I'd find doing long days back to back was hard going. And I'm not just talking about work here, but, we have a busy house at home, 3 kids growing up, 3 girls. So I can sometimes feel like I really am the only man in the house, but, you feel like you're quite shrunken in a lot of ways because interests are different, and just girls growing up into their teens, It's, you know, a different world. So I'm adjusting to that in a lot of ways. So my responsibilities as a dad and as a husband, and earning money and making sure that we're paying for the lifestyle that we have and our cost of living. You know, I've had to force myself to some extent into work and get myself into a better place so that I can stay in a good place with everyone in my life, really, and be there for my family in the way that they need me. So that pressure has definitely been there for me. Sometimes it's felt justified, and then other times it feels like, you know, it's a pressure I'm putting on myself, and often it appears in the form of guilt, you know. So that has been tricky for me to contend with. I can smell the wood and the moisture in the air at the minute 'cause it's really damp here. It's probably a lot of the chopped wood that's appearing here as well. Sort of brings up the smell. A lot of leaves on the ground and stuff. It's nice. It's one of the things I love about coming out early for a walk, that you get to experience that. That's an important part of coming out on these walks, is feeling your environment and just being present in where you are and just trying to take those positives from those experiences. You know, these are the things that I build into my life to try to keep me going forward and getting up every day. So with the long days, I found that I was often having racing thoughts as well, as I was trying to juggle different commitments in different places between work and home life and personal life, and me trying to find time to do stuff like this as well. Like, I really enjoy making videos because it's quite cathartic for me, and the YouTube channel has really given me a lot of positivity this year. So it's something that I've been trying to draw towards, but it's carving out the time so that it doesn't feel like a chore, and also so it's not stressful, and or you're feeling guilty, or you're constantly just chasing the next videos, you know. So trying to find time to explore my personal interests, to kind of hang on to positivity in my life that I need, and balancing that with the stress. Sometimes you find, like, actually just having something in the diary for like next month to look forward to, sometimes that can work, but sometimes it's not enough. And at that time I found that was the case. Like, I needed to slow down. I needed something that would just make me feel comfortable or make me feel happy, like on a day-to-day basis, and that often wasn't there. So I'd be having racing thoughts at night, which was then affecting me sleeping. I'd often have restless sleeps, so my actual quality sleep wasn't there, and I started to go from having, say, 7 hours sleep a night down to 3, 4 if I'm lucky. So that was a factor for me that was then affecting my energy levels day to day. And I wasn't eating so well because I found my appetite was going. And in a way, I thought, actually, that's probably a good thing, because eating a bit less for me is probably not so bad, because I know I've gained a little bit of weight over the last few years, and people love to comment on these things as they do. So I thought, well, actually, I'm not doing any harm here, but perhaps actually I was doing harm to myself by not eating properly. And by that, I don't mean I was eating unhealthily. I was just eating a lot less. You know, I was skipping meals and only eating when I was hungry, which some people would say, well, that's kind of the way to go. But on reflection, something like that is a bit of an alarm bell, because why are you not hungry? Where's your appetite gone? What's causing it? I was also finding it hard staying sociable, because I'd had a long period of time where I'd not really seen that many people and not wanted to be around people for a long time. You know, that's, for me, has been a big shift in my lifestyle with depression. And so going back to work, having to be incredibly sociable, sometimes that has given me a lot of positive kind of sustenance. And it's something I've always thrived off. I've always been a bit of a social butterfly. I love going to social gatherings. I love being around people. But that can go from being your high to your worst nightmare very quickly. And I found that was a struggle day to day, that depending on how confident I was feeling in a day would dictate who I saw in that day, who I spent my time with, what I decided to take a rain check on. When you start avoiding things because you're feeling incredibly anxious, or you're just not wanting to be around people, and you just think, I cannot do this is not happening, and you do it time and time and time again, then that becomes unsustainable. And that was a factor for me as well, that I was consciously aware of at the time, but didn't really pay too much concern to it, because I thought, well, I'm kind of trying to recover. I'm trying to build my life up again, really. And, you take the days slow, and you try to do your best with what you can, and try not to beat yourself up too much over it. And if you need some time off, you need to say, do you know what? No, I'm not going to make that commitment today because I'm just not feeling it. I just need some space or some quiet time. You do that. And that was the kind of thing that was the kind of mindset that I had then, that, I just slow down a bit, and that's fine. I do what I need. But I guess in a way I was finding that wasn't actually that sustainable an approach for me with the life that I have. And I need to make some changes to what's happening in my life so that my lifestyle is comfortable and it is more manageable again. So all this, in a way, has just led me to burn out, really, trying to juggle all these different parts of my life, and to wake up every day and feel like you're having to rebuild yourself, and you kind of go to sleep with your fingers crossed, hoping that tomorrow will be a better day. I found that my migraines were steadily increasing as well, and that was most likely to do with the stress of it and the pressure that was going on with my mind. That then affected my mental health, and my anxiety levels were going up a lot more because I felt like I was letting people down, and feeling guilty that I'm not having enough time with my kids, feeling guilty that I'm not being who am I expected to be at work, and that I'm not doing my job properly. Um, I've been in a job for a long period of time, and I love what I do. I'm passionate about my area of work, but that's been an incredible challenge, I think, to kind of live up to my past self, which is honestly the first time I've said this to anyone. And that has been a real struggle for me. And I think returning to work, there was a sense from other people and a sense from myself that I was going back to that person, that kind of former glory in a lot of ways. But you don't just have time off and you're recovered again when you go back to work and back to everything else. It's not quite the way life works with depression, and that's something that I've been learning definitely this year. So that's been hard going, trying to deal with my own sense of identity, really, and the person perhaps that I was before and who I am now. And so that was something that I think was definitely influencing my anxiety at the time, and perhaps something that not everyone can always see, other than maybe within my actions when I was less visible, less present, because I was not really coping with people every day, consistently. So, and that's something that I'm still trying to deal with now. So this combination of experiences pressures and effects on my mind and body was something I got to a point where I felt like it was noticeable and it wasn't going away, and it was a pressure that was perhaps getting worse. And it kind of felt like having a bag of bricks on your back that you were carrying around with you every day. I'm trying to give you a visual sense of just the weight of all these different things that are happening that were literally pulling me down every day. And I think that was that self-awareness that happened at a point in time was what led me to go, do you know what, I need to stop. I need to slow down. I can't sustain my days the way my life is right now and the way I'm able to deal with what's in front of me. So, and some of that self-induced pressures and wanting to do stuff and willing myself, and some of that's external. And thinking back now, it's so oh, it's so frustrating that as well, because I'm wanting to have time for me. I'm wanting to explore my interests because I want to be able to do things that make me happy and do things that I enjoy. But there's this real sense, and I have it now. There's this real sense that me making time for myself and doing things like these videos and going to visit somewhere that want to see an exhibition, that kind of stuff is actually what's causing these feelings and this everything this video is about, this burnout. I've got a real sense that that is there, and that is what is, if I want to do this stuff, this is the trade-off. This is, you're not going to cope, so you can get up, you can go to work, you can have a family, but that's your lot. You want to do anything else, it's on you. And that is genuinely how I feel now. And it is one of the things that I've been trying to contend with this year, that the more I try and make time for me, the more I try to be happy, be comfortable, the more there's this sense of that is going to affect you. And it's not a voice in my head. It's not someone tapping me on the shoulder that's saying that. It's a real feeling that's there, that I'm pushing myself beyond what I should be doing to stay safe. And that it makes it feel like I'm gambling with myself, which is crazy, you know. But I've got to have time for me. We all have to have time for ourselves. We've got to deal with that. I don't know. Sorry, that was a bit of a diversion, but I just had to get that out. I had to put those words to you because that's something that I'm really trying to deal with, and it's like an inner struggle that I've got. So if I've learned anything from this period of time with burnout and what I've been through, it's that I can see the signs a bit more when there are different things happening to your mind and body, and over a period of time, that's a signal. I need to look at making some changes so that I can continue to cope, really, and keep moving forward in life. So I've mentioned in my previous video some of the changes that I've begun to make since returning from the Lake District to help me slow down, stay focused and centered and calm, and be able to just manage my day to day a little bit better so that I can keep moving forward in life. And some of that has been working quite well. So, for example, taking some time every day to just slow down and focus on me. And that can be something like taking an early morning walk, like today, and having time away from family, away from work, away from other people, just me, nature. This kind of experience helps me feel charged for the day. And every day is a challenge, and I need to find the time for me in every day, whether it's something small or something big, whether that's reading a book, having a rest with a cup of tea in a comfy chair, whether it's having a day off work and spending some quality time with the kids. These are the kind of things that I'm starting to build into my life more, and I'm recognizing that they're things I genuinely need in my life to stay positive and calm and manage my depression and anxiety in a more perhaps controlled way than I have before. And I don't say that lightly, because I feel like I've been on a learning curve over the last 6 months. And you've got to adapt, you've got to keep moving forward. And I'm trying to address the challenges that I've been facing. Maybe some of that's where I'm at in life. I'm in my 40s now. I'm not quite a young man in the way I was once. But maybe, yeah, being reflective, doing these kind of videos even is a chance for me to put words to my thoughts and my experiences. That these aren't always conversations you get to have with people, and not always at moments when you need them as well. So it's helpful to have. And I hope this video has been useful for you as well. And if you've suffered with burnout, or any of the experiences that I've shared today, and you feel comfortable, then I'd love to hear from you in the comments, because these kind of experiences can be such isolating ones that are hard to deal with, hard to contend with. And, I'm contextualizing this for you now in a way that feels comfortable to do. But where do we get to talk about this kind of stuff? There just isn't a place for it. So thank you for listening and tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.